And the only people, in my opinion, who should be on TRT or steroids are... Hey guys, what's going on? Megan here. Alright, today's Thursday, so we're going to answer questions related to testosterone, right? For Testosterone Thursday. Alright, and this is the question that caught my attention. Positives and negatives of a TRT dose. Hi all, any negatives, positives of a dose of 300 milligrams a week? And I'm going to address that in a minute. Not really thinking about gains, it's more for the mental effects. Thanks. And I obviously answered before making a video, literally just now, and I figured it's worth a video. Right, so I put, first off, 300 milligrams is far from TRT. It's a straight up steroid cycle, right? So let's get that out of the way. And depending on the person, it can show you total testosterone to over 1,300 or 1,500 nanograms per deciliter, which is obviously way out of the range for now. But it doesn't really matter because even normal TRT is literally just low dose steroids, right? Despite what many people say. Even if it puts you in a natural range, let's say 300 to 1,000, you still be far from Natty, since your free testosterone levels would be high as fuck. Way higher than Natty's, and your total T will stay elevated between injections relative to Natty's, regardless whether you sleep bad, eat like crap, train too much, whatever. Right, and I already made a video about this, right? Debunking the whole, oh, I'm natural because TRT pushed me in a natural range. I fucking hate that lie that many fitness influencers like to toss around. Right, I went in more detail in that video. Pretty much, when you're on TRT, even if your total testosterone levels in a normal range, you still have super high free testosterone levels, obviously, because high dose TRT lowers your sex hormone binding globulin. And if you don't believe me, that's so easy to prove. I mean, I could just look at the blood work of my clients, right? The ones who are natty, the free testosterone levels. Let's say I have a natty client and his total testosterone is, let's say, 600. His free testosterone is always lower than the ones who are on TRT, and my clients who are on TRT and have the same total testosterone levels, right? It's night and day difference. Again, mainly because SHBG gets crushed so hard when you're on high dose testosterone, especially my clients who don't inject frequently, right? It's a drastic difference. And like I said, even if their free testosterone levels were not higher than a natty, the fact that they have all the benefits of testosterone without having to work for it, so it doesn't matter how they sleep, how they eat, how they manage stress, they always have that constant elevation in between the injections, right? Which is obviously a fucking cheat code. So again, doesn't matter how many ways people try to spin it, TRT is not natural. Get the fuck out of here. But let's keep going. But anyway, here are all the mental benefits of testosterone replacement therapy that I can think of right now. Pretty much the same benefits as having very high natural testosterone levels, right? So it's the same benefits, just without having to work for it. Right, so again, more motivation, more confidence, willingness to compete and move up in status, better sleep, and I put it depends, because again, it depends on the person. Most people get improvements in sleep. Some actually get sleep apnea, higher libido, obviously higher sex drive, better memory, verbal and spatial memory, better focus, so less brain fog, better spatial skills, better constructional skills, so that's drawing, building shit. Plus, and I put plus whatever other mental benefit you reap from the non-mental positives, right? So more strength, more muscle, faster fat loss, more adrenaline receptors, more androgen receptors, better insulin sensitivity, faster glycogen synthesis, more bone density, faster recovery from training, more satellite cells in my nuclei, more fish rate, blah blah blah, right? So you're pretty much getting all of these cheat codes, from TRT. But now let's talk about the negatives, right? Which is why I'm so against TRT, unless you fall into two categories that I always mention. Right, and I put, again, all negatives depending on genetics, the dose, and the duration of use, right? So obviously, it depends on your genetics, right? Different people have different side effects. Obviously, the dose, for example, there's a big difference between 100 milligrams, 200 milligrams, and obviously, 300, 400, 500 milligrams. Right, because you'd be surprised how many people say that they're on TRT when really they're on massive doses, like up to 600 milligrams of testosterone. That's not TRT, right? And like I said, depending on your genetics, even 300 milligrams can put you way over 1,200 nanogram per deciliter. But anyway, so I just put, off the top of my head, all of the side effects that I can think of. This is from TRT and also high dose steroid, right? So obviously HBG suppression. So that's obviously your hypothalamus, pituitary, gonadal axis. So that gets suppressed, the negative feedback loop. So long story short, your body starts making natural testosterone. We all know this by now. Next, infertility, once again, from HBG suppression, right? So your FSH gets crushed, right? Negative feedback loop, once again, means your hypothalamus is no longer releasing an gonadotropin-releasing hormone, meaning your pituitary gland is no longer releasing luteinizing hormone and FSH, right? And since your FSH gets crushed, goodbye sperm cells. Again, hair loss, balding, and again, I put it depends. Wherever I put it depends, go back to here, right? Depends on your genetics, the dose, duration of use, whatever. Obviously, if you're not susceptible to hair loss, it's not going to affect you. But again, acne depends. Gyno depends. Your balls shrink, again, due to SHBG suppression. Your lipid balance, right? So your HDL gets crushed. Some people, the LDL goes down as well. But again, again, it depends. Erectile dysfunction, obviously, once you come off. And also, if you're on high-dose steroids. Keep in mind, I'm lumping up TRT and high-dose steroids side effects here. But if you're on, let's say, nandrolone or any cycle lacking in testosterone base, you definitely are going to have erectile dysfunction for the most part. Again, I shouldn't say definitely because it depends. Also, if you're lacking in testosterone base, meaning you also don't have estradiol, then you're definitely fucked. Right, so if you look at the literature of people who are on DHEA-only cycles, right, so they're only taking nandrolone or DHEA derivatives that obviously don't convert to estrogen, they tend to have a lot of issues with not only sex drive, but also erectile dysfunction. Like I said, depending on the person and genetics and things like that. Since you obviously need a good balance of estradiol and your other androgens for proper sexual function. But anyway, liver damage, again, depends obviously if you're taking oral steroids for long periods of time. Again, your SHBG gets crushed, like I mentioned earlier, and I put way too much, right? Because obviously low SHBG is not so bad, right? Because you obviously want more free testosterone. But if it gets crushed to the point where it's so low, well, one, now you can't even keep in mind, SHBG is a good marker for insulin sensitivity. So if your SHBG is super low, you can't really tell if it's because testosterone crushed it, or it's because you have liver damage, or if it's because your insulin sensitivity shit, right? Very hard to tell. And also keep in mind that you need SHBG to transport testosterone through the blood, right? As well as albumin. Prostate problems, right? So prostate cancer, prostate enlargement. Once again, it depends. Blood clots, pulmonary embolism from the increase in hematocrit, right? All that increase in red blood cells that gives you a ton of energy and all that stuff, right? Remember, inverted U curve. Too much of anything can become bad. Again, heart disease, heart attack, stroke, especially heart attacks, right? It's no coincidence that all these guys on roids are dying like flies. Especially when you combine it with other diseases and other illnesses and things that are going around that I can't mention. Right now, keep in mind, I should put it depends here because some people actually get improvements in heart health on TRT, where some get the complete opposite. So that's why I keep saying it depends, right? Again, sleep apnea, once again, it depends. Some people get better sleep, some actually get worse sleep. Mood swings, again, it depends. But if you come off your cycle, or if you have infrequent injections, then you're definitely gonna have mood swings, right? Because you're gonna have this high spike in testosterone and these huge crashes. In fact, that's one of the reasons why testosterone steroids were banned, was because a lot of people were committing suicide back in the days, decades ago. And this is still happening to this day, although not, in the same, although not to the same degree. But anyway, negative aggression, and again, there's a difference between positive aggression and negative aggression. And I put it depends because it depends on your personality, right? Since testosterone really amplifies your behavior. So if you're a dick, you're going to be a bigger dick. Impostor syndrome, right? Mainly, right? And this one is one of the most underrated one, right? Impostor syndrome, right? Mainly because all of your accomplishments all the things that you're gonna accomplish from having higher testosterone levels, right? All the mental benefits, right? More confidence, more energy, all the success that's gonna come from that. Some people get impostor syndrome, right? Because it's hard for them to reconcile the fact that those achievements didn't come really from them, right? They came from exogenous steroid use, right? Exogenous testosterone use. So some don't give a fuck depending on their personality, where some get imposter syndrome because they're like, wait, did I really accomplish that? Was I really capable of doing those things, or is it only because I'm injecting steroids up my ass? All right, so that's one of the least talked about side effect, which is why I fucking avoid testosterone like the plague, right? I avoid steroids and TRT like the plague because I'm big on looking at my accomplishments and knowing that I did it my goddamn self, right? And that I did not have a massive advantage over my competition, especially when it comes to steroids, right? Obviously, you can't eliminate all your advantages in life, right? We're all born with privileges and advantages depending on who we are, how we're raised, the country we're born in, whatever. But the advantage that steroids give you is so massive that I refuse to tarnish my achievements with something like that. So there's some pride in knowing that you achieved your body, or you achieved your cognitive development, or your achievements naturally. But anyway, suicide, again, like I said, it depends. And this one, you fuck once you come off, depending on how effective your post-psychotherapy cycle is, right? So back to the suicide thing, right? Once you come off, you fucked, right? Because once again, you no longer have a way of producing natural testosterone, right? Your adrenals are going to produce some testosterone, but not enough to put you back in the normal range. So again, not only you're going to have mood swings, you're going to suffer from all these issues from no longer having natural testosterone, and from also not having natural estradiol, right? The main estrogen. right? So low levels of estrogen as well. You're also going to have low DHEA, which has its own benefits, right, in terms of controlling inflammation, antagonizing cortisol, increasing nitric oxide, increasing IGF-1 sensitivity, right? Remember, DHEA has a lot of benefits apart from testosterone, and you're also going to have low DHEA once your SHBG is shut down. So yeah, so you definitely fuck once you come off. Again, depending on how effective your PCT is. Some people recover fast, some people it takes them a long time to recover, and in fact some people commit suicide while they're on PCT because it's taking too long for everything to go back to homeostasis. Again, I put lifetime commitment, the fact that you on for life, right, especially once your HPGA is shut down. And last but not least, everything that makes you a man now comes from a bottle instead of your own two balls, right? And I put parenthesis, you now renting your masculinity, right? Which is one of the biggest reasons, in addition to what I mentioned earlier, why I refuse to hop on TRT. And trust me, I had plenty of opportunities. You know how many times my testosterone levels got crushed because I had shit sleep, shit nutrition. Even when I was in college, at one point my T levels went down to like 150 nanogram per deciliter. They were in the 200s for a long time when I was sleeping like shit, eating like shit, you know, living a very, very, very stressful lifestyle, you know, being a father, managing my businesses, trading stocks. I mean, so many times I was in clinically hypogonadal territory and I still refused to hop on TRT, right? Went to the doctor, they would tell me, oh, you know, let me send you to an endocrinologist, right? And I was like, fuck no, I'm gonna do it my goddamn self. And here I am today, right? So it is definitely doable to increase your levels naturally as long as you put all the excuses away, right? That's not easy, right? It's a pain in the ass. You have to manage sleep, you have to reduce stress, you have to manage your nutrition like a motherfucker, but it is well worth it, right? So again, everything that makes you a man, that comes from a bottle, right? I don't know how people can like live with that shit, right? I want to walk around knowing that my strength, my size, my muscles, my motivation, my ambition, you know, all these benefits here, I like walking around knowing that that comes from my fucking testicles and my own brain, right? There's huge pride in that, right? The last thing I want is to have all of these benefits, all this focus, all this energy, all these you know, which obviously going to lead to a lot of achievements, and to look in the mirror and think, wait a minute, I only got this because I was on exogenous testosterone. Fuck that. I would rather fail as a natty than succeed as a roid head. But again, that's just my opinion, right? Again, I at the end of the day, I don't want to push my belief on others, and I don't want to be a hypocrite, right? Because let's be honest, like I always say, the reason why I try so hard not to judge people who are on the juice is because I myself was inspired by roid heads, right? I'm in love with roid heads. Ronnie Coleman, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jay Cutler, Kevin LeBron, all the guys that got me into bodybuilding. All the reason why I used to go to the gym when I was a teenager, right? It was a bunch of roid heads, right? Without them, I wouldn't be bodybuilding. Shit, I started lifting because of Dragon Ball Z. Broly. You think Broly would be natty if he was a real person? You know? Vegeta, my favorite character, when he became jacked as fuck, right? When he became Super Vegeta, that motivated me to train hard as shit. You can't achieve that physique naturally, right? So at the same time, I don't want to be a hypocrite, right? Because a lot of us natties were inspired to start bodybuilding because of roid heads. I just personally choose not to go down that path, right? And I put here, that's all I can think of for now. As I always say, the negatives far outweigh the positives, and the only people, in my opinion, who should be on TRT or steroids are professional athletes getting paid a fuck ton of money to risk their lives, and sick people who, for whatever reason, you know, including disease, accident, or genetics, can no longer produce testosterone no matter what. Everyone else should man the fuck up and boost the levels naturally, right? So if you're in one of those two categories, if you're a professional athlete, then I don't give a fuck, right? If you're an IRBB professional, then obviously you're going to be on roids, right? Because how the fuck are you going to move up the ladder, right? If you're in the NFL and you roided up, I don't give a shit, because guess what? That's something you chose to do. That's your career. That's how you put money on the table. And you're going to get out-competed by the ones who are on the juice, right? So the people who are getting paid millions of dollars to be on roids, shit, you know, if you were in their shoes, you probably do the same thing. You know, I wouldn't, but a lot of people would. So I can't really blame them, right? It's the life's dream. It's the life's goal. Like, again, the Ronnie Colemans of the world, the Phil Heaths, right? If that's what made them happy, that's what put money on the table, who am I to judge? And like I said, you know, the people who are sick, and keep in mind, testosterone, steroids were invented for sick people in the first place, right? People that were in ICU, burn victims, HIV patients, cancer patients who were wasting away and were losing muscle mass. Those are the people that steroids were engineered for. So if you're in those two categories, by all means, take all the fucking drugs in the world. But everybody else, stay the fuck away from exogenous testosterone. But anyway, guys, that's just my opinion. At the end of the day, I'm not a fucking doctor, so I can't tell you what to do with your health, and I'm also not God, so I can't tell you what to do with your life. That's just my perspective on things. All right, I'm out of here. Alright guys, don't forget to like or share the video, subscribe and hit the bell, and buy my HSP Nucleus Overload Training Program. It's the ultimate program for maximum muscle growth. It includes full body workout splits, bro splits, push-pull, home workouts, you name it. Also comes with a complete guide for macros, nutrition, fat loss, muscle growth, hormones, including a meal plan. It's pretty much all my 16 years of experience condensed into one fucking book. You're also going to get free copies of any future edition. So visit team3dalpha.com and you can use the 40% off coupon code Nucleus Overload. Or you could just buy the shit at full price. Alright guys, I'm out of here.